You may chant 1,000 names, you made 1,000,000 lamps, but if your mind still wanders like a wide river, what peace will you find? What grace will you hold? My friend, self-discipline is carries the Bhakti across the ocean of cause. Even in the path of devotion, the wildest obstacle is not the world. It is the mind without restraint. A restless tongue, an impatient heart, and a distracted mind. These are the chains that bind us to suffering. But when we bring discipline into our life, it is like a conch blow into silence, a soul awakening to divinity. Discipline is not punishment. Bhakti, remember, God does not come to the loudest temple. He comes to the most prepared heart. And preparation is discipline. Rhythm, your thoughts become a mantra and your heart becomes offering. Then even silence becomes a prayer. Discipline is not the enemy of joy. It is the path to divine ecstasy. Without it, even the sweetest bhajan is just noise. With it, so today choose discipline and watch your ordinary life become a sacred journey. When you rise before the sun, you do not just wake up early. You are stepping into a sacred moment of alignment between your body, your spirit, and the divine. Forcing yourself out of bed, it's about honoring the sacred stillness of the early morning, that untouched, undisturbed hour when the world hasn't yet shouted its demands at you. Before the noise, before the notifications, there exists a sliver of time where your soul is most open. Waking up early is not just a discipline of time, it's a discipline of intention. It is you telling your day, I am ready. It is you telling God, I am listening. Imagine this silent, the sky is still dressed in the remnants of the night, and you rise, not to school, not to rush, but to center yourself. Maybe you light a candle, maybe you stretch gently, maybe you sit quietly and breathe. But in that moment, something powerful happens. You are creating it. That is the power of waking up with purpose. That is the spiritual essence of self-discipline. Most people wake up when they must, but a disciplined soul wakes up because they choose to. Not because the job starts at 9 or the children need breakfast by 7. They wake up because they know the most sacred things in life happen before the world opens its eyes. In the Bhajan Marg, the path of devotion, early morning is known as the Brahma Muhurta, the divine hour, is believed to the time when the mind is most clear and the vibrations of the world are most pure. If you have ever tried sitting silent during this time, though it's not like any other hour, the peace feels deeper, the thoughts feel fewer, the air feels sacred. And in this sacred hour, the one who is disciplined enough to rise and be still, even for 5 minutes, taps into a different, higher frequency in just daily life. A student who gets up just 30 minutes before class will always feel rushed, forgets his books and walks in the classroom distracted. But the one who rises early, breathes in silence, organizes his day, eats in pity, that's with clarity. That student walks in not just prepared but present. He carries confidence, not chaos. That is the difference discipline makes. Think of a mother, one who wakes up just minutes before her children are up, scrambling too much, shouting to make lunch from the kitchen, already drained before the day begins. Now think of the same mother who wakes even 45 minutes earlier. She prays, she drinks warm water, she lights a lamp, she prepares the meals with devout desperation. When her children wake up, she greets them with presence, not panic. That shift, that energy is not because the world changed. It is because she chose discipline. Jobs they don't love. Waking up is a way to reclaim power. That hour before the world demands is here's and there's a mode. If there is to reflect, to meditate, to walk, to dream. So often people say, the truth is, the time is there. It's just on the other side of the pillow. Self-discipline gives you back your own. Waking up before the world is not just an act of time management. It's an act of soul management. It gives you the space to hear your own voice before the world speaks. It is when prayers are whispered with clarity. It is when the body is still enough to feel. When you rise early, you become a better listener. Not just of others, but of your inner self. You begin to notice patterns. You begin to see your day unfold from a place of purpose, not pressure. And it's not easy. The bed is soft. The beads are sweet. But when you rise despite the comfort, that's where the transformation happens. Self-discipline is not meant to be easy. The person who can command themselves to rise despite the tug of laziness, the excuses, despite the mood, that person is powerful. Not because they are superhuman, but because they are devoted. Every day you rise early, one brick in the temple of your life, you are building a mindset that honors consistency over chaos. You are choosing to start the day in alignment with your higher self. You are not running from something. You are walking towards something. So next time you're tempted to snooze your alarm, remember, the extra sleep will fade, but the power of rising with purpose stay. Self-discipline is not a bird. It is the bridge to your best self. It is how you honor the divine in you. It is not about rejecting. It's about rising for real rest, the kind that starts from within. Because when you rise with the sun, you don't just catch the light. You become it. It may sound simple, but this truth is as deep as the ocean. The words we speak are not just vibrations floating in the air. They are seeds, has the potential to grow into a tree that either gives us shade or pierces us with thorns. The tongue may be small, but it holds the power to bless or break, to heal or harm, to uplift or destroy. In the spiritual path, especially the path of Bhakti, it is a tool, a temple, and a test. You use it to chant divine names, to offer prayer, to sing bhajans, and yet the same tongue can slip and spread gossip, complain endlessly, lie without guilt, or snap in anger. Is where self-discipline must step in. It teaches you not just what to say, but when to be silent. It shows that not every emotion deserves a voice, and not every thought must become a statement. Imagine a person who wakes up in peace, perhaps even lights a die and chants. But then by mid-morning, they're yelling at a coworker, bad-mouthing a neighbor, or speaking harshly to their own family. What happened? Either spirit built in the morning gets lost by noon, or because the tongue was not trained, the mouth was not guarded. A moment of undisciplined speech, hours of inner work. Take a daily life example. Picture husband and wife, they love each other. But one evening, the wife speaks a sharp word, something hurtful said out of fatigue. The husband responds with anger. A small misunderstanding becomes a storm later. Both regretted. The love is still there, but the words have left wounds. You see, a slap may hurt for a day, echo in the heart for a lifetime. That's how powerful our speech is. Self-discipline is just about silence. It's about good sacred speech. Either one ways, consider a leader who speaks with composure versus one who reacts with anger. One chooses his words like a sculptor chooses his tools. Slowly, wisely, purposefully. He knows that each word creates atmosphere. He builds trust. The leader, however, speaks without thinking. He may get results in the moment, but over time, he loses respect, how you may feel. And most often, those feelings come from your words. Now think about a spiritual seeker, someone who walks the path of devotion. This person chants daily, meditates regularly, and lives with intention. If this seeker not control their tongue, if they still indulge in criticizing others, spreading negativity, or speaking carelessly, and their spiritual progress remains surface level. The inner temple is beautiful, but the doorway is cracked. That's why in many spiritual traditions, controlling speech is considered one of the highest forms of tapestry, spiritual discipline. And this isn't just about avoiding negative words. It's also about choosing to speak life. It doesn't refrain from harm. It becomes a source of healing. It blesses people, encourages. It comforts. When someone is down, one sincere word can lift them. A compliment, a kind observation. All of the instruments of light in the hands of a disciplined soul. A beautiful story is often told of a sage who remained silent for 10 years. Where someone finally asked why. He said, that's the kind of reverence we must carry, because in truth, you're not just sound, they are energy. Once spoken, they cannot be taken back. Like arrows, they fly. But unlike arrows, their damage is often invisible. They wound hearts and influence destinies. In modern life, we often speak without thought because speed is glorified. Quick to reply, fast to arrest, to disagree is the art of the pause. The sacred space go before what the word. The quiet moment where your soul whispers, is this necessary? Is this kind? Is this the right time? That pause can save relationships, it can prevent conflict, it can bring peace where fire is about to erupt. One of the most transformative practices you can build is the daily decision to watch your words. Pause before reacting, take a breath before you correct someone, compliment when it's easier to criticize. Refuse to participate in gossips. Purely your words serve peace. And most importantly, practice silence, not as a punishment, but as a good prayer. When we chant the divine name, we use the same tongue that has hurt others. But when we bring discipline to our speech, we purify that tongue. Then every word becomes a bhajan, every sentence becomes an offering. And even in our silence, there is a song of surrender. So yes, you can tongue and you begin to control the karma, because every word you speak is a footprint on someone's heart. Walk lightly, speak slowly, and let your tongue be not just a tool of communication, but an instrument of devotion, just nourishment for the body. It is energy that shapes our thoughts, our emotions, and even our spiritual vibrations. In Bhajan Marg, the path of devotion, eating is not a mindless activity. It is a sacred ritual, is an offering to the divine dwelling within us. When we eat with awareness and discipline, we are not feeding an appetite. We are honoring a temple, because this body, as the scriptures remind us, is the vehicle through which the soul journeys. Into this vehicle determines how smooth or chaotic that journey will be. In our modern world, food is often consumed in a rush. Breakfast is eaten while scrolling through phones. Lunch is skipped or stuffed in between meetings. Dinner is drowned in noise, screens. We eat not out of hunger but of habit. We snack not for energy but for escape, but indulge in nourishment but in numbing. This pattern becomes a cycle. The body, mind, and spirit all suffer. The tongue craves, the stomach bloats, the mind fogs, soul becomes disconnected. This is not eating, this is consumption without consciousness. Self-discipline in food begins with remembering that the act of eating is a spiritual one. In Bhakti tradition, before eating, devotees often offer their food to the divine. Let this food not just feed but purify me. Let it give me the strength to serve, the clarity to pray, and the calmness to love. This one act transforms the plate into prasad. And when we eat mindfully, we are no longer just consumers. We become receivers of divine grace. Imagine a man who eats with no discipline. He fasts food every night, overeating every into the night, drinking soda with every bite. At first, it's enjoyable. But slowly, his body feels heavy. His energy is low. His mind is dull. He becomes irritable, unfocused, and restless. And then he wonders, his prayers feel dry, why his meditations are foggy, why his devotion feels distant. The answer is in that impacts the purity of our thoughts and the stability of our emotions. If we are careless or consume, we are careless with how we connect. Now imagine another person. She prepares her meals with love. She chooses clean, fresh ingredients. She avoids excess. She gives thanks before eating and chews slowly, savoring each bite. She eats not to fill a void, but to strengthen her purpose. Her body feels light, her mind feels clear, her devotion is deeper. This is not a diet. And anyone can cultivate it. It's not about never enjoying your favorite dish. It's not about becoming either fearful or food. It's about balance. It's about respect. Respect for your body, for your purpose. When you eat with awareness, even a simple meal becomes a celebration. A bowl of rice becomes a sacred offering. A piece of fruit becomes a moment of stillness. And when you eat with gratitude, your body responds with vitality. Daily life offers countless chances to practice this discipline. A student who avoids junk food before an exam finds his mind more focused. A mother who prepares fresh for her children instead of packaged ones gives them more than nutrition. She gives them care. Who chooses to eat one homemade meal a day despite a busy schedule slowly finds his energy returning. These small decisions become powerful acts of devotion when done with the right intention. Even fasting, when done correctly, discipline that body, brings the body and mind to stillness. It is not starvation. It is sacred separating the body. You do not rule me. It is telling the soul, I am ready to listen. So when he says fast, not to punish the body, but to prepare it. Because when the stomach is empty, the heart often speaks louder. But even outside of fasting, just saying no to overeating is a spiritual act. Just stopping when you're full is a form of worship. Just choosing water over sugary drink is a silent prayer. The tongue which craves taste, not suppressed but guided, silence but softened. Because the more we discipline our tea, we sharpen our spiritual taste. The longing for deeper connection, higher truths, pure joy. In time, you begin to crave clarity more than cake. And that shift happens not overnight, but over many small disciplined moments. So when you sit down to eat next time, pause, look at your food, feel gratitude, eat slowly, eat simply. Awareness that this is not just about taste me, this is about transformation. And remember, self-discipline in food is not about restriction. It is about rivers are not just feeding a body, you are honoring a temple. And in that honoring, don't run behind time, walk with it. This isn't just a poetic phrase, it's a philosophy, a way of living that transfer life from philosophy chores to sacred rhythm. Most people today are sprinting through life, rushing to meet deadlines, running late to appointments, juggling commitments, multitasking until their minds are tangled and tired. They recalculate behind, spend the day chasing tasks, heart full of not enough peace time, not enough presence. But what if I told you that time is not your enemy, but if it's self-discipline, you could move in harmony with time, not be crushed under it. Time is not a race, and when you align inner rhythm with the divine rhythm of time, life becomes a gracefulness, not a desperate chase. This alignment is a repository discipline. Not the harsh, punishing kind of discipline, but the gentle, respectful kind that honors both your purpose and your peace. Let's take a simple example. Imagine a man who wakes up late every day. He's constantly snoozing alarm, being out of bed with anxiety, skipping breakfast, rushing through his morning routine. As he brushes his teeth, grabbing clothes in a panic, and leaving the house half dressed in spirit. By the time he reaches work, his mind is already tired. He's already scattered. And the entire day feels like he's trying to catch up. The day is dragging him along. Now imagine another man, he wakes up at the same time every day, doesn't reach for his phone first. He sits quietly for a few minutes. He stretches, he eats slowly. He dresses with intention. He leaves the house on time with breath in his lungs and peace in his step. He doesn't have more time. He has more discipline. Because of that, he moves with time, not against it. Self-discipline teaches you to value the unseen moments. The minutes you waste at a scroll here, a snooze there, conversation that leads nowhere, half the day is gone. But when you live with discipline, you understand that how you spend your life, you stop treating time like an obstacle and begin to treat it like a gift. Even spiritually, time has great power. The early hours of the morning, known as Brahma Muhurta, are believed to be the most powerful prayer, meditation, and self-reflection, but because they were magic, but because they are quiet, still, and free from the noise of the world. Who is disciplined enough to rise and use that time, discover something profoundly. Clarity about themselves, about their purpose, and about the day ahead. Think of a mother trying to balance work, home, and children. Without discipline, every moment feels like survival. With a little structure, she creates flow, she prepares the night before. She builds routines for her children, and she doesn't control children. And because of that, she finds energy where there used to be exhaustion. Time begins to serve her instead of straining her. People often complain, I don't have time to do the things I love. But the truth is, they are not disciplined enough to protect their time. Time management isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters. When you discipline your schedule, you free your soul, you stop saying yes to everything, you stop cramming your day full of obligations that drain you. You begin to carve out sacred moments for rest, for family, for creation. That's when you truly begin to walk over with dull time. Technology made life faster, not deeper. We get done, but feel more empty. Calendars are full, but our hearts are not. Discipline helps you slow down, not to fall behind, but to catch up with yourself. It allows you to breathe between tasks. It gives space between moments. That is where reflection happens. That space where even the divine in every scripture works in time. Creation has a rhythm. Seasons fall, rises and sets on the rivers flow in time, flowers bloom in time. Why then? Expect peace from a life runs out of sync. Discipline is how you tune yourself to nature's rhythm and to the divine order. This doesn't mean you won't be busy. It means your business won't break you. It means you learn when to say yes and when to say no. It means you understand that rest is not laziness, it's wisdom. A disciplined soul knows that rest is not something you earn after exhaustion. It is scheduled to prevent burnout. Walking with time is knowing when to act and when to pause. So the next time you find yourself reaching the clock, pause, ask yourself, am I running behind because I'm undisciplined with my energy and I'm misusing my memories? Am I filling my day with things that matter or just things that move? When you begin to ask these questions, and when it does, it won't feel like a restriction. It will feel like a freedom, because when you walk with time, you no longer chase time. You live fully, consciously. And that is the most powerful way to honor every minute you're given. Sometimes the loudest noise isn't outside, it's within. The mind races, the heart races, the world screams with distractions. But truth seeker, those who walk the Bhajan Marg, the path of love, surrender, know that there is a sacred medicine for this restlessness, sacred solitude. Choosing sacred solitude over social noise isn't about running the retro deeper. It's about returning to yourself. It's being alone in peace. And this choice, this discipline of the soul is one of the most powerful decisions a person can make on their spiritual path. Look around at today's world. Everywhere you go, there's noise, constant chatter, endless notifications, voices on screens, music in the background. And yet, with all this communication, people feel more disconnected than ever. Why? Because we have forgotten how to sit with ourselves. We are surrounded by noise, but starving for meaning. Distant from the one soul we own. There is a woman who attends every social event. She posts, she shares a curls for the camera. From the outside, her eyes is but inside, she is tired. Her mind is loud. She's always with others, but hasn't spoken to herself in months. Her heart is aching for something deeper, but she keeps silencing the social noise. Now imagine another woman. Every morning, before anyone else wakes up, she sits on her balcony, no music, just the rising sun and her breath. She listens, not to others, but to the whispers of her own soul. In that quiet, she finds answers. In that she remembers who she is. She goes out into the world not to escape herself, but to serve from a place of fullness. It refills what the world drains. Self-discipline is what makes this solitude possible. Because the truth is, solitude doesn't always feel easy in the beginning. The mind resists it. It screams, check your messages, open a video, call someone, and if you're not disciplined, you obey. You reach for the familiar noise because the silence feels well furrowed, but this is where the soul waits. It's not empty. It's full of guidance, healing, but only those who are patient and disciplined enough to sit with it will receive its treasures. Even in relationships, sacred solitude is essential. People who never take space for themselves cannot grow together. A relationship is not just about being close. It's about giving each other room to breathe, to reflect, to realign. When you spend time in solitude, you return to your relationships not with neediness, but with love. You arrive already whole. That's the gift of solitude. It teaches you to be complete within yourself. Think of the sages, the great Bhaktas who inspired generations. None of them became radiant in crowded rooms. Relationship with solitude, they went to forests, mountains, temples, caves, not to escape the world, but to meet the divine more clearly. They sat in silence, they cried in prayer, they listened deeply. And when they returned to society, they brought light, wisdom, because they had spent time where the noise could not reach. Even in daily life, we can build this discipline. It doesn't require a mountain. It just requires a moment. 5 minutes before your day begins, 10 minutes after everyone else sleeps, a walk without music, in silence, a journal opens of a chat box. These small practices are sacred. They reconnect you with your essence. When you choose solitude, you use space for inner voice to rise above the volume of the world. You begin to hear your own thoughts more clearly. You begin to recognize when something feels off. You begin to realize what actually brings you peace, not just what you've been told should make you happy. This clarity is not it's subtle. And that's why you need discipline to catch it. You need stillness to receive it. Solitude also helps us reset emotionally. When we are always surrounded by people or input, we absorb their energies, their moods. We carry what is their thoughts. But in solitude, we drop all that. We shed the layers that don't belong. We breathe into our own rhythm again. Washing the soul in silence, you return cleaner, calmer, and clearer. And perhaps most importantly, solitude deepens your connection with the divine. In the quiet, you don't just talk to God, you begin to hear Him. Your prayers are no longer monologues. You feel a presence walking with you, guiding, holding you. This presence often gets drowned in daily life, but in solitude, it solicits you. So choose sacred solitude. Not because the world is bad, but because your inner world needs your attention. But because your relationship with your own soul is the foundation for every other connection, and not because silence is easy, but because silence is sacred. Self-discipline is the gatekeeper. And it helps you say no to constant noise so you can say yes to deeper peace. Because in the end, it's not the noise that makes life meaningful, it's the stillest meaning goes. It's not the crowd that defines you. It's what you carry when you're alone. Master the art of being with yourself. You unlock the grace to be truly present with everyone else. Discipline means living your truth, not just speaking it. In a world full of words where everyone is saying something, posting something, sharing something, it is easy to appear wise, kind, spiritual, and focused. But talk is easy. Real transformation begins when your actions silently echo what your mouth loudly declares. There is a sacred gap between what we say and what we do. And self-discipline is the bridge that connects the two. It's the invisible thread that pulls our words down from the clouds and roots them into the soil of daily life. We've all met people who speak beautifully. Their words are like poetry. They say the right things at the right time. They talk about love, truth, honesty, and growth. Even post quotes on social media about peace and patience. But when you observe their actions, they lash out in anger, break promises, judge quickly, or lack courtesy. Their lives don't match their message. Disconnection creates confusion, not only for others, but for their own soul. Because deep down, the soul craves alignment. When we don't live what we pre-thouse and fuse it, it stirs in discomfort, not because it wants to shame us, but because it wants us to come home to truth. Imagine a father who tells his children every day, honest, be respectful, be kind. But when he speaks to that one, he uses harsh words. When someone wrongs him, he reacts with bitterness. He lies on phone calls, cheats a little in business, and justifies it all by saying, this is how the world works. His children are not learning from what he says, they're learning from what he does. His discipline in speech is not matched by discipline in behavior. And over time, his words lose power, but because they're unsupported. Now, picture another person, a quiet woman who doesn't speak much about values, doesn't preach, who has paralyzed integrity. She is punctual, keeps her promises, speaks gently, helps others without announcing it. She radiates it. Her presence brings calm. Her words are few, but full of sincerity. That is the power of discipline in practice. People trust her not because she talks right, but because she lives right. Her truth is not loud. It's consistent. Actions are seen as offerings. Every small deed done with sincerity and devotion becomes a sacred act. Lighting a lamp, sweeping a floor, cooking a meal. When done with awareness and purity, becomes more powerful than hours of empty preaching. The same goes for character. Living with honesty, patience, humility, and courage, even when no one is watching, is the highest form of worship. This is where self-discipline steps in. It's what allows you to stay on the path even when applause is absent and validation is nowhere in sight. It takes discipline to walk talk. It takes effort to apologize when you're wrong, even if you've told others to be humble. It takes strength to forgive. When you encourage others to let go of grudges, it takes real maturity to admit, I am not living what I teach and I want to change that. The honesty with yourself is the seed of transformation. Sometimes we don't notice the gap between what we say and what we do because we're so focused on being perceived as good. But perception fades quickly, a lie it doesn't match. People are deeply intuitive. They may not always express it, but they can feel the gap. Who talks about compassion but is rude to their staff will never inspire devotion. A teacher who speaks about integrity but cuts corners in graduate cannot ignite lasting respect. One of the most powerful forms of self-discipline is asking yourself at the end of each day, did I live what I believe for today? Not flawlessly, but sincerely. Did I practice the patience I preach? Did I show the kindness I admire in others? Did I stand in truth even when it was inconvenient? This self-reflection builds inner alignment. That alignment is what gives real power to your presence. With your truth, your life becomes your message. People may forget your words, but they will never forget your example. You become to quote scriptures in motion. You don't have to wear a badge of wisdom. Your discipline becomes your silent authority. And slowly you start feel something change inside. Your inner voice becomes clear. Your confidence grows from authenticity. You no longer feel like an actor. You feel like a soul in harmony. Even when no one sees, even when no one claps, live your truth. Discipline isn't about perfection. It's about intention. To close the gap between what you believe and how you behave. When your words and actions dance together in rhythm, your soul rejoices. Your life becomes peaceful and your life begins to inspire without effort. In the end, more speeches. It needs more examples. Let your life be a lot of them, not by speaking louder, but by living deeper is the true strength of discipline. That is the essence of walking the Bhajan, not with noise, but with sincerity, not with image. Integrity